Let's catch up a bit more on the Kiely Rodni case. Today, as I film this, it is Friday, August 26th. It's 5 days after Kiely was found, unfortunately, in Prosser Creek Reservoir. But the interest on what happened to Kiely, the truth, has not lessened at all. In fact, it has intensified as people search for missing puzzle pieces to this case. Let's speak about the coroner's report and toxicology report that I requested. Let's also talk about that beautiful, poignant, but haunting and foreboding and ominous video that Jagger Westfall posted to Instagram. He's Kiely's ex-boyfriend, and I found a lot of ominous, foreboding things that the couple likely had no clue would become ominous. Let's also examine this great video from Christy McFarland that she posted to one of the Facebook groups for Kiely, and how everyone's talking about it because it gives us a true perspective of the path and route that Kiely might have taken that night away from that party. Let's also go over the confusion over Kiely's driver's side window, why it was broken, and let's talk about the testimony from a different Truckee local, an experienced water guy who also claims his help was turned down by police. Firstly, I'm going to link to all the videos I reference so you can watch the originals and listen to the audio and see the videos in their entirety. The first video was a cute video. I don't know when Jagger filmed it, but he did admit that he secretly filmed Kiely, and they have a moment. It looks close and they're holding each other and kind of joking around and dancing. I think the video was taken at a homecoming celebration or afterward, because Kiely is wearing that famous beautiful black dress we've seen her wearing in a lot of photos with a slit all the way up and some gorgeous red shoes. There are a couple of ominous things I found about this video. At one point in the video, Jagger jokingly says, "You want to go for a swim?" And he kind of picks Kiely up as if he's going to throw her in the water. And she says, "No, no, 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 no." Kiely asks Jagger, "Do you want to go for a swim?" And so she playfully pretends like she's going to push him in the water. She says, "No, no, 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 no." It's hard to hear everything because there's music atop it. We can also see in that video, Kiely has her phone. She might have been the one that selected the music playing, but she has her black phone in her hand and they kind of stand there and they horseplay. But to see her say, "No, no, 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 no," to see her say, "No, no, no," so many times about going in the water, just that moment of fear that he might actually throw her in the water, I'm going to presume that Kiely knew how to swim. But of course she wouldn't want to go into the water all dressed up. And of course Jagger wasn't throwing her in the water like that. It's just a joking routine, but it became so foreboding to me watching her, that momentary, maybe fake fear, funny fear, but fear nonetheless, about the thought of going in the water unexpectedly. So Kiely pretends to kick him in the ding-dong, and she doesn't actually. It's a cute video, but the music selected as well. The song playing is "Till My Last Day," a song by Justin Moore, and it speaks a lot about till my last day, till my last breath. It says something about being 6 feet under, and the whole thing has such a sweet, loving tone to it because obviously Jagger is going through his memories and he has even got a tattoo, it appears, for Kiely. So there's a lot going on at once, but it's ominous when you pick up the little pieces that point to how this story would end, even though, of course, the couple didn't know at that point how Kiely's story would end. In the meantime, let's talk about the Placer County Sheriff's Office public records request. I had sent this back on August 15th, well before Kiely was found and well before Nevada County Sheriff's Office would take the lead and become the lead investigating agency. Several things I requested were the 911 call, if there was one, and any surveillance video of Kiely Rodni, especially party videos or the video of her in the hoodie. Now, it was denied. Placer County said, quote, "The records requested are exempt from disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act for the following reasons. This case is currently an open investigation." We don't want to jeopardize anything. However, Law enforcement makes their own decisions as they see fit. One decision I might have made if I were in law enforcement would have been to release the hoodie video of Kiely, because certain agencies would have released it because it drums up more interest. When Kiely was still missing, if cops would have released that video of Kiely in the white Odd Future hoodie that police say they saw her in, it could have been one more clue to give the public. Many times you will see news reports of, be on the lookout, there's a missing girl, here's the last known footage of her, and instead of just that 6 p.m. surveillance photo screenshot of Kiely in the black bodysuit at a Truckee, California establishment, they could have also added to that, okay, now here is the last known video of Kiely, and if they were concerned about privacy, they could have blurred the people around her if anyone was around her. If anyone has seen her, here's the white hoodie she was wearing last seen. I don't know why investigating agencies make the decisions they do, but that's one more thing that could have kept Kiely back in the news cycle. So Jagger had written that he did take the video of Kiely without telling her, but he wants to save that moment of holding her close at sunset. He said he's going to live the way Kiely would want him to live here on out and take care of her family. He wrote, "You are forever in my heart, and now you are forever a physical part of me. I will use this as a reminder to spread your word to others. You will always be my world." And it looks like a real tattoo. If the photo isn't flipped, I think it's on his right arm, and it says, "Stay alive for me." I'm grateful that Jagger seems more hopeful even in his grief. Now, regarding the Kiely Rodni autopsy and toxicology report, I've also put in a Freedom of Information Act request for that. So the code states records of the county coroner's autopsies are public records subject to disclosure under the public records law unless there is a pending criminal investigation and disclosure of the info will compromise the investigation. So we don't know if they will release any preliminary information or wait to release everything. You know, we hear rumors and people just like to kind of talk about whether or not these records will be sealed. The only way to know for sure is to see if they will be released. In the meantime, people are still trying to figure out if the New York Post article is correct. When it seemed to be attributed to Adventures with Purpose, Nick Wren, it seemed to be attributed to him stating perhaps that when he came upon Kiely's car, her driver's window was already broken. Accounts like I Am Legacy 23 on Twitter are trying to get to the bottom of it. The New York Post stated the vehicle was found upside down and about 14 feet underwater. Diver Nick Wren, who discovered the car, told the Post. And the very next sentence, without a paragraph break, says the driver's window was broken and there was a body in the back seat. I'm going to assume the writer of that article didn't just view a photo and say, oh, the driver's window is broken, there's a body in the back seat. Hopefully a journalist would not make those assumptions. I assume he heard that info directly from Nick of Adventures with Purpose, but we will not know for sure until we see Adventures with Purpose come out with their actual video on what they actually saw when Nick came upon Kiely's vehicle underwater. What state was it in? Did he check the gear shift? Adventures with Purpose is pretty thorough, and I think when they come upon a vehicle, they are pretty thorough about checking as much as they can safely before they pull the vehicle out of the water. But in the meantime, looking at this excellent video from Christy McFarland, who went to the actual site where the party was held, called the Sanctuary, and drove that rough road all the way over to the spot where Kiely's car most likely entered the water based on where her CRV was found. It was so haunting, so brave of Christy to go out there and get the footage. Now, granted, it was only around 8:30 p.m. or so when Christy was taking that footage. It's a great video. It's more than half an hour. Please go watch it over there. You'll be able to hear Christy speak and just eloquently honor Kiely, have a moment of silence, and just show us literally what Kiely likely saw. Even though when Kiely was most likely driving that stretch of road, it was perhaps well after midnight, a lot darker. I hope she at least had her headlights on. I don't know if she had her brights on. We don't know, again, if she really was inebriated like Sammy and others have claimed. But I imagine if Kiely was really drunk and she left there trying to get home, I'm not sure if she left before or after the big caravan of cars left. Imagine if Kiely had left at 12:36 or after. Now I know her phone shut off according to police at 12:33. What if it were in that time period and maybe Sammy was just a bit off about 12:36 or 12:40 a.m. sightings? We don't have an exact timeline, and maybe different clocks people were looking at were off by minutes. But imagine if it were about 12:33 when Kiely was actually leaving the party. Really dark out there. I'm assuming she didn't follow the caravan of cars out, or else she would have made it to Highway 89. Maybe a caravan of cars left at 12:30. I don't know how many. But if Kiely was basically alone, almost no other human being traveling right there with her, if in her mind, if she's thinking, I gotta get home, and despite what her mother said about Kiely never driving under the influence, what if Kiely had made that decision to just try and make it home anyway and drove down these dark roads? And especially when Christy turns her headlights off, you can see just how dark it is. It's scarily dark. It was scary out there. Just watching folks try and even reenact the drive is chilling, and I'm so grateful they're brave enough to do it. But just going to that point where you just see darkness, you can see the water, but it looks like darkness and it looks like trees beyond. There's a road that just looks like a straight shot into the water, and it's deep and it's steep, and it's scary to think about what Kiely might have endured. And part of me wishes she had just passed out and not hopefully been awake to try and scramble out of her car. So how did her driver's window get broken? Adventures with Purpose did give more insight on Mel's channel. And if you want to see these screenshots, please go over there and subscribe to Mel. He does great work. And please give to Adventures with Purpose. I just became a member of their channel. I'm not sure if YouTube is doing this with all memberships, but they're giving people a 50% discount on the first month when I signed up to become Adventures with Purpose member. I guess it's a good way to encourage people to just get on there, give Adventures with Purpose money every month, because we've seen the work they've done and they're able to buy new equipment. I want to buy some of their merch. A lot of their stuff is selling out. I mean, tools they have for breaking windows were all sold out when I checked. Even like their zip-up hoodie that I want to get, they had a limited amount of sizes left. I'm grateful to see that people are really supporting their mission. I mean, this is really encouraging me to really practice survival tips or survival in the best way possible. I even have this, it's more like a crafting hammer, but I'm thinking I should put this in the car. It's pretty heavy. Something I should put on this sun visor or something. It really makes you think about the short period of time, 30 or 60 seconds you have to react, unfortunately, if a car ever goes in the water. And I'm hoping all this attention to Kiely's case will save plenty of other lives of people who continue to frequent that area. There's a lot of testimonies from people in that area about how they have almost gone into the water, even in the daytime. There's plenty of miles of shore, and of course they can't block all of that off, but it can make folks much more hyper aware of the trails that cars can go down that can lead right into the water without warning. But if you go over to Mel's channel, it's linked to below, you will see comments from Adventures with Purpose during one of his recent lives. One of those comments from Adventures with Purpose said, 100%, we didn't get any tips. We do what we do. We had some other hot leads that we worked on day one, and here on day two, when we found her, we returned what we know best in following the evidence. There was controversy over whether or not Adventures with Purpose got some kind of insider info, confidential info, hot tips, whatever. All we know is Adventures with Purpose found Kiely and her car on day 2, only 35 minutes after searching Prosser Creek Reservoir. Until they create their video, hopefully if they still can, and publish it, we won't really know more. Adventures with Purpose did say windows will break out when the car is flipped back over. It is a delicate process that you do not want to lose any evidence in doing so. People were wondering, does that mean that Kiely's car, the window only broke when you flipped it over? But then Adventures with Purpose said, no, I'm confirming that glass will break when the car is flipped back over. And all they would say is, Adventures with Purpose wrote, there are questions such as the car being in gear, where she is at, seat position, etc. that we cannot go into any details on. So we just don't know the details there. All we know is what Adventures with Purpose has told the media, like in the New York Post article. Diver Josh Cantu said, police told us they did a rigorous search of this body of water. They gave us a grid map and made us confident we didn't need to search there. So I will just link to all of these so you can read them yourself. To me, it's kind of sad. I know police wanted to do their best. It feels to me like police were kind of like, oh, we got this handled, don't worry about it. There was another post from a Truckee local of 15 years who wrote, he spends a lot of time flying hot air balloons over Prosser Reservoir. He's also a dive master trained in underwater search and recovery. He wrote in the Kiely Rodni Missing from Truckee, California Facebook group that 2 days after Kiely's disappearance, he approached Mission Command and offered to use his gear to swim the shoreline. He has 10 charged scuba tanks, 3 sets of gear, a boat, and all the necessary tools to perform a safe and effective mapped underwater search. He also wrote that he left a note on Nevada County Sheriff's Search and Recovery boat explaining who he was and offering assistance, stating that it was his opinion that the car could easily be hidden under 12 feet of water, being that the clarity of the water is poor. I can tell by my frequent balloon flights directly over the lake, a car with 6 feet of water over it. He said it could be completely hidden. My letter was never responded to, and when I went to Mission Command to offer my assistance, I was turned away. I have intimate knowledge of the reservoir. I know where the party spot was, and it was my intention to search the boat ramp area first, and then the shoreline of the party spot. Nevada County Sheriff and Placer County Sheriff told me they had it covered and that diving would be a waste of time, seeing as though they are using much more sophisticated equipment. I should have followed my gut and just started diving the area. It's very frustrating to see that in hindsight, arrogance trumped incompetence. Finding her and her vehicle over a week sooner could have saved a lot of things, anxiety for the family, a lot of volunteers' time and resources, not to mention money for the taxpayers. Just a bit of a rant because it's been very frustrating and I've been thinking about it nonstop. Like I said, I never even got a response to my letter. It's really disheartening to hear things like that, and of course a lot of people are saying, well, the cops just can't offer anyone coming in and take the time to vet you and investigate you and make sure you're not messing up stuff. But this is the second testimony we've heard like this by experienced dive masters or fishermen or whomever that I really think could have helped. I don't know what happened. But Nick Wren did tell Fox40.com, it's an emotional moment for sure, especially when I first dropped down. The first thing I saw was the vehicle upside down. I looked at the license plate, could tell right away this was the vehicle that we were looking for. So the next step at that point in my mind is you have to mentally prepare yourself as you're doing the vehicle assessment for what you may see. Doug Bishop said Nick was able to identify it was her vehicle and that there were human remains within the vehicle. So I'm wondering if Nick had told the New York Post just a little bit more info, a little bit different info, a little bit more detailed info, or did the New York Post writer assume some things? But they did notify family and Dad and Grandpa were there in less than 2 minutes. Bishop said it was very, very tough. Doug has a 16-year-old of his own. And you might have seen that the Lost Trail Lodge is for sale. It had previously been for sale prior to Kiely going missing, but I don't blame the family for really wanting to sell it now. We have to continue to wait and see what'll happen if we do get a preliminary COD or not, if autopsy results are released. In my mind, Christy's video even enhances more how it could have been an accident. And when I say accident, I don't mean that everyone is completely absolved of any guilt. There might have been some contributing to the delinquency of a minor charges, yes. Alcohol involved, potential drug use involved, we don't know. All the way to potentially the criminal. When I'm thinking of it, the most innocent explanation of accidental, that doesn't mean there's no culpability anywhere, but I can see how a person under the influence, especially if that's the case, a young driver driving through such a dark and dangerous terrain could have unfortunately ended up in the water and expired. And all the way on the other end, perhaps some of the people who, are assigning nefarious intent and blaming others, they might end up being correct. We just don't know until we get more proven, valid info. So that's what I'm waiting for. We will see what happens. Let's close with 2 Corinthians 5:1 through 5. For we know that if the earthly tent, our physical body, which is our house, is torn down through death, we have a building from God, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. For indeed, in this house we groan, longing to be clothed with our immortal, eternal, celestial dwelling, so that by putting it on we will not be found naked. For while we are in this tent, we groan, being burdened, often weighed down, oppressed, not that we want to be unclothed, separated by death from the body, but to be clothed, so that what is mortal, the body, will be swallowed up by life after the resurrection. For now he who has made us and prepared us for this very purpose is God, who gave us the Holy Spirit as a pledge, a guarantee, a down payment on the fulfillment of his promise. So those are comforting words we rely on. We can only pray they comfort those who have lost Kiely and honestly think of seeing her one day again. It really gets me when people feel like they will never see their loved ones again, and I always want them to have that hope through Christ, his death, burial, and resurrection, that belief that we will see them again. I can't imagine living thinking I would never see my mom or dad again, or thinking that's it. That's the end of her story. That's how it ends. There's nothing else. I like what Jagger wrote about their plans to one day, sip margaritas on the beach in Santa Barbara or whatever. His thoughts of we will do it one day, but just not in the way we thought. And I like those thoughts. I like heavenly thoughts of seeing our loved ones again someday, a tragedy like this not being the end, because then it would be meaningless. Again, I think no matter what, there will always be conspiracies, and not everything is a conspiracy. Like YouTuber Kevin Samuels, a lot of people were assigning blame to the woman he was with when he had a heart attack, when he expired. But once I got all the info from the medical examiner, turns out it was just likely a heart attack, and that was it. And he just had caffeine in his system, and that's about it. So we don't know what we will actually find out from Kiely's stuff. Some people will always believe, I'm reading these out there theories where some people are thinking, oh, it wasn't even Kiely in the car. Well, no, we've already got the confirmation that it was Kiely. Some cases, folks will always want to turn into some big, crazy conspiracy. But this one, again, we'll wait for facts. We will see what happens, and we will just keep praying for the family and her loved ones. Thank you so much for always watching, and stay tuned for updates.